Someone has been thinking a lot about you. And I'm hearing after hours, so this could be a work connection. This could be somebody, that you're having like long distance interactions with, like a virtual connection. And after you get off the chat with them, after you get off the phone with them, you get off the FaceTime, whatever it is, they're thinking a lot about everything that you say, everything that you've said, everything that you've shown so far, how you've been showing up in this circumstance. And this is somebody, it feels like, that is very excited for what the future has in store. This is somebody who likes the pace that things have been unfolding between the two of you, but this is somebody who it feels like is also wanting to take a risk and kind of pushing the situation just a little bit further. This may be something where they're ready to ask you to meet up with them in person. If this is something that there's like a professional connection between the two of you, they may be ready to start taking things on a more personal level. So this can even be something like they ask you to go out to lunch during the workday, something where you can have like a little more of a close quarters interaction with one another, something where you're not just going to kind of mistake that for somebody just being friendly, or if there's a little bit of flirtation going on. They're putting a lot of importance on kind of like the next step, I'm hearing next phase, so the next phase of these interactions. This feels like somebody that anticipates that the two of you would make a really cute couple. You'd be really good together. There's a lot of raw animal magnetism between the two of you that's very hard for this person to ignore. There's a sense that they feel there's like another side to you that can only be revealed in close quarters. So maybe that has to do with like a work connection and sort of like, after hours when you let your hair down, when you are a little more relaxed. There's a sense of they're very intrigued, like, what is that side of your personality like? Or if this is something where you have an online connection with one another, this is somebody that really wants to like meet up with you and look into your eyes. They want to feel the warmth of your body next to theirs. This is somebody that wants to kind of see, like, does all this chemistry that we have virtually translate into something in the real world? Because that is not always the case. Even if there is, a lot of compatibility behind computer screens, that can be a very different experience when you're up close and personal with someone and the pheromones come into play, and they're there in real life and not just in the way in which the illusion has been painted for each of you, like in your own minds. And so this is somebody that feels like they want to take that step forward in order to be able to accelerate this connection, because there's a sense that they want some sort of certainty that it's like good to proceed forward. They're trying to kind of keep their heart under lock and key. They're trying not to get too ahead of themselves. They're like trying to hold their feelings back in some sort of way. It's like, all I need to do is be in the same room as you, and then I'll be able to give myself permission to kind of take things further emotionally. Or all I need to do is kind of go have lunch with you somewhere, go have drinks after work, have, coffee before work, or do something on the weekends. And then if I'm given that kind of reassurance that like, yeah, this feels comfortable in the same way that our, kind of professional interactions are, then I'll give myself permission to open up to this, to surrender to this pull, this like magnetism towards you. Yeah, we also have the Lovers. So this is all about the energy of choice. This person is choosing not to kind of leave this up to question, not to kind of leave this as sort of an unknown. There's a choice to take a step forward towards you, to be the one to kind of address the elephant in the room in terms of like, let's meet up. Let's go somewhere quiet where we can talk. Let's get together. Let's move beyond the nature of our interactions up to this point in time, so that we have this ability to have more of a direct exchange with one another. This is somebody that it feels like they would be very excited if you were to choose to get to know them on that romantic level, or if you would be, in alignment with kind of like, yeah, the feelings that I might have developed, or, the sense that I really like talking to you, if it's like an online connection, virtual connection, long distance connection, to have that like face-to-face interaction. There's a hope that you'll both be on the same page with one another. You'll both choose to move forward together. This can be somebody as well, because it feels like they're almost hoping that you choose them. So it may be something where they had had like an online dynamic with somebody in the past, and then again that sense of like everything was great, and then they met up in person and it all fell apart. Then it was sort of determined like, oh, this doesn't really translate effectively beyond that kind of experience that we have virtually. And so this is like a crucial step for this person. Like, I need to see you, I need to interact with you face to face. I can't just continue on, with the nature of sort of how we're having these exchanges, because after hours, after the fact, I'm sitting there in the heart space and everything within me is kind of telling me, yeah, open up to this, feel those feelings. But then there's a part of them that's like, I need to satisfy logic. I need to know for certain that this is something that can extend beyond the range, the radius of how we interact up to this point in time. Or if it's somebody that is like a workplace crush, then there's a sense of sort of like, this is almost like, I can't stand that tension of sort of like, we can't just go make out by the copy machine or the water cooler. I mean, you could, maybe some of you have, and there's a sense like, that's great, but I want to meet up in person and not have to be so, sneaky about it. I want to make sure that, we have the ability to kind of be seen in the light of day, no matter what circumstances kind of resonate with your particular situation. This is somebody that would be very proud to be seen on your arm, to be chosen by you. And so there's a deep need for them to sort of see, like, are we only good within this certain environment where there's something a bit risque, a bit taboo, or a bit like limited between the two of you, especially if there's distance or it's a virtual connection. You can't just reach through the phone and like kiss each other, and so it's a sense of like, I need to know in person, like, does it all compute? Does it all add up? Or is this something where, we're just kind of exchanging words or having these interactions that kind of pluck one another's heartstrings, but it doesn't really translate into something viable in real life? We also have the Knight of Cups, so it feels like they're going to be the one to extend that invitation. And I'm hearing finally, so maybe something where this is like a long time coming. You've been waiting for this person to work up the courage to address that elephant in the room. You've been giving them every hint and indicator. That may have even been something where you've discussed travel plans, or like, we need to meet up one day. It would be nice to meet up. It might have even been something where you'd kind of set a future date, a future timeline a little bit further down the road. And so this person wants to surprise you and like, why wait till then? Why not sooner? Why not now? So something that they may present that's very impulsive. This may also be somebody that's like, hey, a circumstance has come up and I'm going to be near you, so I'd like for us to get together in person a lot sooner than expected. And for a portion of you, they're just going to make something up. This is somebody's going to book a flight and they're going to be near you and they're going to make up some excuse like, oh yeah, I had a work thing, or somebody was getting married. There was like a reason that I needed to be within sort of the physical or geographic range or radius where you could meet me. And so why not? Why don't we get together for the day and sort of see what happens? And all of that, even though there's like a bit of sneakiness with it, the hidden motive is like a good thing, because there's a confirmation that they need. Like, I need to be in your presence. I need to feel the warmth of you as a person, by me as a person, like in our physical bodies, in the same room, sitting across the table from one another, or, able to have that like physical contact with one another, or even if it's like a work connection, where you're not having to be sort of subtle so that the coworkers don't start gossiping, or if there's any kind of like policies against dating employees, or like conduct within the office that it's sort of like, you have to kind of limit yourself, you have to restrain yourself, you have to be a little bit professional. There's a sense that this person wants to have an experience with you outside of that, and they don't want to wait. The timing might not be great for it, especially if this is somebody that's just going to like make up an excuse to kind of come near to where you are or come to where you are. But there's a sense that they've reached a place within of like, I really like you, I like where this is going, and before I allow this to go further, before I surrender to it, or this can even be something like, if there isn't that compatibility that translates, it's like, I want to save us both the time and the heartbreak. We need to know now. I need to know now before this goes further. And so it feels like it's something that they're doing this with like a long range plan in mind. It's something where you don't have to be the one to kind of, figure out all the ins and outs of that. Even if it's just like a coworker asking you out, it's like they're going to come with a plan. They're going to come with a date and a time, not just, we should get together sometime. This is somebody that's like, hey, you want to come out tonight? You want to go out right now for lunch? What are you doing this weekend? We have Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, so this is something that has been a long time coming. This is someone you've either been talking to for a while, at least kind of like a handful of months, where it wouldn't be something that would be very impulsive or very out of the blue, but it might also be the kind of thing where if you've talked about that, like we should take things a step further, this may have been something that had kind of been factored out for further along on the horizon. So this may be something that is actually like pleasantly surprising, because this person shows like genuine interest and ingenuity in like figuring out a plan, finding a way to, even just showing up for you in a casual sense can kind of give you those indicators. Yeah, this is somebody that's not just trying to like pass the time because they're bored. They're not uncertain about their feelings. They're coming in closer because they want that confirmation. It feels like they're probably not going to tell you that like outright, sort of like, I need to see you in person and see if the chemistry, aligns in the real world. But it's kind of like it would be obvious in some sort of way, based on kind of the randomness or the impulsivity, seeming impulsivity, or just the surprise element of it, that they've definitely cooked this up for a reason. There's something where it's like, I need to come closer to you. I need to know. I need to physically look you in the eye, not just see you on FaceTime, not just see you behind a screen, but I need to be in your presence and see, is this something where this pull, this like draw towards one another, in an insatiable way or a nearly insatiable way, like, is that here under all circumstances? And if yes, then it feels like that is something which determines a unique course of actions moving forward. If yes, that chemistry translates, or you're able to kind of, experience something even more yummy than you've had so far with one another. This is somebody that it feels like they wouldn't hesitate then in terms of like, okay, when can we do this again? When can we meet up again? This wouldn't just be like a one-off, and then they'd sort of sit with that and kind of, hold on to that sort of knowledge or feeling. It's kind of like, I'm ready for things to progress forward, and this is an essential gatekeeper to determining if that's possible. Yeah, and we also have the Four of Cups. So this person acknowledges that you've given them a lot of signs and indicators of your interest. And it's almost like I'm hearing it's only right. Like it feels like it's only right for them to be the one to kind of make this happen. So maybe that has something to do with, their position. If this is like a professional connection, it may be like, they need to be the one to sort of find a way to make this work, especially if they're like a superior to you at work. They may feel that it's kind of like, okay, I'm in that boss energy. Let me be the boss and take charge of this. If it's something where distance is a factor, they may make more money, and so the idea of like flying out to see you, accommodation, travel, things of that nature, that's something where it's like, let me take care of that. You shouldn't have to figure out a way. We shouldn't have to figure out a way together. Like, I want to be the one to surprise you. You've given me these indicators of your interest, so I want to take you up on that offer and see, like, is this something that translates between the two of us in real time? If distance isn't a factor, if professional courtesy isn't a factor, if there's not that limit, kind of like what happens then emotionally. We also have the Nine of Wands. So it feels like this person has been fighting the feeling for a while, to kind of like come towards you, to rush towards you. There's a sense that they have liked the fact that this has been kind of like a slow simmer situation, either because you're coworkers and it's kind of like, well, we work together and our time during the workday is spent working. So any sort of interactions, as far as flirtation, or for those of you that are like making out by the coffee machine or the water cooler, it's like you're not doing that all day. So it's the kind of thing where it's like this has been hard for them to sort of hold themselves back. There's been an urge to experience something more for a while. And if this is somebody that virtually you interact with online, then there's a sense like, okay, we need to get to know each other in this sense. I want to show up as somebody that's not just a rando reaching out online, but somebody that's like trustworthy. I want to find out, do we have compatibility? Do we have things in common? Is the conversation good? Are the periods of silence good? Kind of what does all of that look like? But this is somebody that has had this desire and interest to get closer to you, to get to know you more for a while, and they're done fighting that feeling. They're done fighting that urge. They're done making excuses or kind of like giving the power over away to time as like it's too soon or not yet. It's kind of like, okay, I hear and acknowledge those, kind of aspects of myself that say wait a little bit longer, and I'm choosing to do the opposite and move forward very proactively, very quickly in the direction of I want to get closer to you now. We also have the sun. Yeah, so it feels like this is going to come as a surprise. This is going to be something that's going to fill you with a lot of joy and excitement. It feels like for a lot of you, this is like a next inevitable step that will lead to some very interesting possibilities between you and this person in the future. It's going to help you see a different side of this person that will at the very least give you the opportunity to make a sound judgment as far as like, okay, this feels right under this other type of circumstance, or it feels right when we're a little closer to one another. And it feels like it's something that after that next step forward that they want to take, it's kind of like this is somebody that wants to check in. So how was that for you? How did you feel about that? Does this feel right to continue to move in this direction? I want to see you again. Like what works for you? How soon is good for you? So this may be somebody that kind of like takes control and uses the element of surprise to their advantage at first, but then there's a sense of like, I want us to open up about those discussions of finding ways that we can make this work, especially if there's like a substantial distance between the two of you and it's just not practical for them to come and see you or you to come and see them all that often. It's kind of like, I don't want this to just have this be an occurrence that's like once in a while. I want us to try to find some way to make this work, some way to kind of honor or acknowledge that part of ourselves that has been like brought to this point where this would be possible, or I felt the urge and answered that impulse, took action accordingly to sort of make this happen, to create this opportunity between the two of us. And I don't just want that to be something that we're basking in the effervescence of, and then there's no plan going forward. I don't want to get into a position where I'm like jonesing for you, I'm missing you, I'm going through, withdrawals of like your presence, the sunshine of your energy, being up close and personal. This is somebody it feels like that also feels they could get very addicted to your energy, or a sense of like, if I come and visit you, I'm not going to want to go home. If you come and visit me, I'm not going to want you to leave. And so this is somebody that it feels like once this next step is taken, it's kind of like, okay, what do we need to do in order to continue to move closer to one another? What do we need to do in order to increase the frequency of these interactions so that we can build in that direction of like, okay, this feels right and this feels good. And for some of you, this is something where, you'll go out on a date and you'll find out we're better as coworkers, or maybe it's just, it's only spicy and interesting when we're making out by the coffee machine or the water cooler. And for others of you, because it's just the nature of how things are when you have online connections with people, you'll get up close and personal, and it's like, yeah, that chemistry just doesn't translate in person. And it feels like if that's the case, this isn't somebody that is just gonna like ghost you or sort of be like, yeah, that was weird, and then you never hear from them again. It feels like there'd be some kind of discussion, some sort of closure, just kind of like, yeah, this isn't kind of headed in the direction that I want, or I don't think this is what I'm looking for. They won't just kind of like string you along or leave you with uncertainty. Like either way, it feels like this is gonna work out in a very positive and very informative way for the two of you, whether it means like it's a first step to continued closeness, or something that just sort of answers that question, like, do we continue to go further with one another? Is this something that is mutually satisfying for both of us on all levels? So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.